Hello and welcome to the player updates for the Minecraft Hardcore Challenge. I'm Honeysuckle and this is episode 2, so let's get started. First off, we have the team of Dadcraft73, Zloy XP, and 2 piggies. While Dadcraft and Pigglesworth decide to find a safe place to set up a base, Zloy stays behind to boat the Vindicator that got loose in the last episode. Yes, apparently boat can be a verb. While he's successful in his attempt, he turns around to be confronted by yet another Vindicator that follows him into the trees, at which point he decides it's time to rejoin the other two while warning them of the danger he's left behind. The three of them get to work collecting the exposed coal in the cliffs, then heads down underground to gather iron and more coal. Next we have JohnFell92. He continued mining for resources and completed his suit of iron armor before placing stairs on his way back up out of the mine. He takes on several mobs guarding the entrance to the mansion, but a creeper leaves a mess to be repaired, so he sets off hunting sheep to shear to replace the carpet. Then he keeps checking rooms to clear them out and claiming a room full of chests to keep for himself. He finds 3 Vindicators right off the bat, killing one and trapping 2 that were stuck in water. After clearing out and lighting up several rooms on the first floor, he heads back outside to collect more dirt blocks, but after a couple more rooms in the mansion are cleared out, he runs out of torches and heads back down to the mines to look for coal. Next we have Dark Age Man. He begins his episode making his way up out of the ravine, gathering iron on the way and finding coal too. Unfortunately, his pick breaks before he can finish collecting it all, so he has to go back up and cut down a tree. While above ground, he also got food to heal up, as he's been at 2 hearts this whole time. Then he starts heading back down towards the mansion, traveling across the treetops at night, stopping on a handy tree to get his bearings and work with his inventory until a nosy creeper tries to come by to visit. Next we have Grandma's Gun Gaming. She starts out in her little base getting ready to tackle the mansion, upgrading her tools with multiples to be prepared for anything. Once she has everything ready, she heads into the mansion with a plan of action firmly in mind. She swiftly clears out the front of the mansion and sets up a safe base behind the stairs. It doesn't take her long to get to clearing out more of the mansion, slow but steady. Next we have Dragon Feathers. She is still doing her challenge of singing her entire episodes down in her mines as she makes her way back up to emerge from underground, but is stalled by a creeper outside her door. But she makes a run for it and dashes out quickly, not stopping to look back until she's safely across the water. Then she heads for the mansion, gathering mushrooms along the way. Once inside of the mansion, night is falling, so she starts looking for a good place to spend the night, digging down and beginning the search for iron. Next we have Pine Leaf Needles. He starts out by having to fight his way out of the cave past a spider guarding the entrance. He heads off toward the mansion, collecting more mushrooms along the way to make something to eat before finally reaching the mansion. As night draws near, he digs underground to gather more resources and get geared up before tackling the mansion. Next we have Clanhalfdude. He starts out tackling a few mobs who come to visit, then collects more mushrooms for a good food supply before heading over to check out the mansion. He sets up a small base just outside the front door, then he runs in and clears out a few mobs hiding behind the staircase, blocks off the hallways to either side, then runs upstairs to clear out a few more rooms. Then he runs back out to gather more blocks and make torches, and heads back in to clear out more rooms. Next we have 2 mere mortals. They continue gathering resources and getting geared up before deciding to head for the mansion. They travel through the forest, taking on a few mobs as night falls, until they dig in underground for the night. They find a cave system to explore and collect coal and iron before digging down separately looking for more resources. Next we have JavaDad. He begins his episode making tools from newly smelted iron, then works on the staircase to his mine, coming across a cave with plenty of exposed iron and coal, making his way down to lava level with plans to make a nether portal in his next episode. Next we have Lorelei. She starts down in the mine getting coal and looking for more resources until she begins hearing a lot of zombie noises. She finds a spawner which she successfully raids before going back to collecting resources in the ravine walls. As night falls, she goes back to her hidey hole in the bottom of the ravine to mine for more resources. Next we have RSM Alec. He begins this episode by crafting a full set of armor from his freshly smelted iron before heading up to tackle a lingering zombie and cut down a tree. He crafts a shield to finish his preparations, so he climbs up to start running across the treetops toward the mansion, coming in sight right before nightfall. By this point, he's starting to wonder if his uncle is really dead or if this is all an elaborate test to see if he can join the mysterious secret club. He climbs up to jump across to the roof, which he lights up while evicting a few mobs that show up. He drops down into an empty room and starts clearing out or blocking off rooms and hallways, making a great start to kicking out all those squatters. Next we have the duo of Max Rider and Scody Garvitas, still in the caves smelting iron and gearing up with shields before heading above ground, grabbing a mushroom before swimming across some water and finally coming within sight of the mansion. They light up part of the roof and then take off to the mountains as night falls. They dig down looking for more iron and coal. They finish off their armor and continue digging through the end of the episode. Next we have MP Plays. He starts out looking for food, gathering some pumpkins and sugarcane, but still needs to find eggs for that pumpkin pie. He makes a fishing pole to fish, hoping for something to eat, but not having much luck with his first 4 casts, but finally getting a fish to cook and starts getting hearts back. Then as night falls, he starts hunting for skeletons, using the bones to make bone meal for his wheat farm. He makes some bread and then does more fishing, getting a stockpile of food for his next episode. Next we have Captain Hook 5150. He starts out by deciding to tackle the mansion by digging into the basement and working his way up. He enters a room with water and decides it will make a great area to start a wheat farm. He checks out the next room and hallway before deciding to mine down looking for more resources under the mansion. Next we have Original Jr. He is still mining for resources and running up to gather wood until night falls, before going back down to diamond level to look for diamonds, breaking into a cave to explore. He heads back up to clean out his inventory and gets back to mining where he finally finds those diamonds. Next we have Wandering Nerd. He is still in the ravine but works his way back up to the forest to resume his journey toward the mansion, traveling over the treetops. He reaches the coordinates but there's no mansion in sight. He decides to head underground for the night to look for more resources and hopefully he can figure out the mystery of the missing mansion. Next we have Outfoxed. He emerges from his underground base to check on his wheat farm and grabs some drops from the mobs that burned. Then he cuts down a tree for wood and collects mushrooms before heading back to his base to check his furnace for iron and crafts up a shield and a bucket. Then he cuts down more trees to turn into charcoal for torches, and then he heads underground to mine for resources overnight. Next we have Bad Senator. He starts his episode by jumping down into a large cave and explores for resources, making a shield and more armor. Then he heads back to his treehouse to get more food before going back to the cave for more iron and coal, finishing up his set of armor and making an iron sword and buckets. Then he leaves the cave to look for more caves to explore. Next we have DJ Paul TG'd. He takes another look at his mansion without walls, and decides to go back underground for a few more resources, finding lots of iron and some gold as he makes his way down to diamond level. He finds more gold, heads back up to smelt his goodies, and checks outside. The coast is clear, so he cuts down a few trees to get apples, then heads back down to make his golden apple. He goes back up to check out a Vindicator and finds that they chase fast and hit hard. Unfortunately, that ends his run for this month. Better luck next time! Next we have Greg C96. Jumping in and catching up, he has his episode 1 out. He begins by collecting mushrooms and wood to get his food supply secured before heading off toward the mansion, reaching it well before dark and peeking in the front door quickly before heading outside and underground to get resources. He finds iron and coal, which he heads up to get smelting before continuing back down his stairway to get more coal as the episode ends. Next we have Mack Gene. He begins his episode inside the mansion, setting up his base of operations. Then he heads out onto the roof to peek in a few windows before heading down to gather wood and mushrooms. He peeks in a few more windows along the way. Then he heads in the front door and lights up a few areas before heading back out and up to his base where he makes charcoal for more torches and clears out a few more rooms, taking out 2 Vindicators. And last but not least, we have Bakerbelle Games. She pops out of her hidey hole and heads toward the mansion coordinates, traveling over the treetops, finding pumpkins along the way and some sugar cane. Now she needs eggs for some delicious pumpkin pie. Once she gets inside of the mansion, she sets up a little base near the water and plants a small farm, lights up the area, and heads into a nearby cave for iron and coal. She gets enough iron smelted for her iron armor to be completed, then heads further down the cave to check it out. So there you have it. Links in the description to all the channels participating this month, as well as the standard rules video, this month's announcement video, and the official website. If I missed anyone, mispronounced your name, or left anyone out, please leave a comment below and I will correct it in my next update. Thanks for watching. Bye!